Clare County Council is closer than ever to erecting CCTV at illegal dumping blackspots with a commitment of March of this year, which is very much welcome news. However, despite this, the practice is still widespread. The latest incident has seen the likes of bedboards, mattresses and lots of plastic bags, industrial plastic bags and refuse sacks indeed, discarded at Gallows Hill in Meelick, which has been blighted by illegal dumping. The Cratloe Fianna Fáil councillor Pat O'Gorman has been highlighting this on social media, and he joins me on the line now. Pat, a very good morning to you.
Good morning, Alan. Good morning, listeners, and Happy New Year to all of you.
Same to yourself. A new year passed. Unfortunately, the same old problem of illegal dumping at Gallows Hill, which must be pretty dispiriting.
Yes, Alan. The other night, I got a phone call from a parishioner in Cratloe to. She couldn't actually get through the rubbish. It was right on the middle of the road as she came down from the hill going towards 6 Mile Bridge. This time it was at the other side of the hill, which it's a first for me to see it at that side of the hill. It's usually at the Woodcock Hill side of it, but this time it was nearer to 6 Mile Bridge. But again, it was the same mode of doing it, was just opening up the tailboard in the lorry and just leaving it off in the middle of the road. Residents had to kick it into the side of the road so traffic could actually move until the enforcement officer went out yesterday with the staff of Clare County Council to remove it. And thank God it was all removed before yesterday evening.
So, I mean, it's bad enough, Pat, that somebody would go to the trouble of illegal dumping of this nature, but and it is bad enough when it's in at the side of roads or in ditches, but to just plonk it right in the middle of the road seems like just an added two fingers to ordinary decent people who dispose of their rubbish in the proper, through the proper channels and the proper means and manners.
Yeah, and I don't know whether it's the time of the year or not, because just before Christmas there was a major dumping incident in Ballinrobe there on 6 Mile Bridge, where the crew had to go out on two different occasions. The one lorry was full and had to go back a second time to get more. As we spoke about the bottom of Gallows Hill there, yesterday alone, the crew again had to go on 2 or maybe 3 trips, I'm not certain, to the treatment plant in Shannon there, the road in past the people locally would know that the old De Beers Road in along there, and the Loop Walk in Shannon as well. There was litter to be collected there either yesterday or today. It was left there. I think that was there actually since the fireworks, which were back in Halloween. But again, people just leave it there behind them and just walk away and expect Clare County Council in to come along behind them and clean up after them. And I think it's a shame what's happening out there.
Pat, I touched on some of what was dumped, and you provided pictures on social media. You can see it's all in the middle of the road. Can you take us fully through what was there, what was just dumped and left there for others to have to deal with?
There was an awful lot of it would be household rubbish, but there was mattresses and there was headboards, there was a couch. The same in the treatment plant road in Shannon. There was mattresses, and it was actually nearly a full bed in the road into Shannon. So, we have a mattress amnesty every year in County Clare. We have a lorry every year in Shannon down in the town centre that will take this type of rubbish. There's no need of throwing it out on the road. We have a recycling centre in Shannon. You can fill your car or your van for the sake of €5. You can drive in the gate. We have the Christmas trees being taken in there at the moment, and still, there's no doubt, but this nice Father's Day, you'll have Christmas trees thrown around the side of the road as well, even though they're being taken free of charge. So whether it is in some people's psyche or not, I don't know, or whether people say it's down to education or not, but I don't think the children are throwing this rubbish on the road, beds and mattresses. And even in one incident, Alan, where maybe 2 months ago there in Rossmanor in 6 Mile Bridge, if you can remember back, we spoke about it, there was a big barrel of gas thrown into the trench with other household rubbish. But for that barrel of gas to be removed, the fire brigade had to come down from Shannon to take it out. Now, when they came there, it was actually gone. Somebody else had it taken out and taken probably to make a few pounds out of it or whatever. But the Clare County Council staff are not allowed to go out and touch that in case it could explode or there could be something wrong with it. They would explode up in their face when they wouldn't be trained for that kind of lifting of rubbish, you know.
Yeah, they're really dangerous and something they shouldn't have to be dealing with. And also really dangerous is, leaving rubbish in the middle of the road. But as you said, Pat, part of that rubbish was a couch just dumped in the middle of the road.
Yeah, and I can't do it because when you're buying furniture, they'll take back the old furniture. It's just, I don't know what the psychic of some people is. And the other side of it is maybe listeners mightn't understand, but when the Clare County Council goes to the likes of Ballinrobe and 6 Mile Bridge on 2 different occasions on the one day to collect rubbish, that is 3 or 4 men in a crew gone out of circulation for the day, you could say, when they could be out filling potholes, opening gullies and doing other essential work, especially this time of year with the rain that's falling and everything else. And they could be out there, as I say, filling the gullies, filling the potholes, opening the gullies, but instead of that, they're up around the side of the hills picking up rubbish that people could take into the recycling centres for the sake of €5.
And I guess, Pat, this isn't the first time we've spoken about the situation at Gallows Hill. It does continue to be targeted despite ongoing cleanups. Do you think it's been targeted because it is, I suppose, convenient for people who want to do this, in the sense that it's a little bit out of the way, or are there other reasons why I think people are dumping their rubbish illegally there?
Well, it's a quiet area, and I suppose if you come to this area in the night time, you're nearly guaranteed that you will get away without being seen. But the other thing is, Alan, there's unpermitted waste collectors out there. And if you give them people your rubbish and your name is found in that rubbish, 'tis your name and 'tis you that's going to be getting the on-the-spot fine, not the people that dumped it there. Unless they're caught red-handed, they're going to drive away, they're going to collect their €50 or whatever they will off you. But if your name is in that rubbish, the on-the-spot fine is coming to your house, not to the waste collector. And people will have to realise that as well, because I do know, after talking to the enforcement officer that we have here in Shannon, that people are surprised when they knock at their door, or maybe the guards knock at their door with a registered letter if it's not accepted the first time. They act that they're surprised that the person that they gave the rubbish to wasn't legitimate and didn't take it to the dump or to the recycling centre, that it ended up on the side of the road.
And indeed, just on that, Pat, was there any evidence or clues in this dumped rubbish as to who has been doing this? Anything left with a name or an address or anything that could point towards the culprit or culprits?
Yes, there has been, and there will be cases taken. And I'll just I won't mention any names or anything live on the radio, but in one instance, the registered letter went to a house, and it was sent back that the person didn't live at this address. The guards went to the house with the letter, and the people in the house wouldn't open the door, and the enforcement officer went back a third time with the guards, where the guard took a photograph of him, putting the letter to the letterbox, so that there would be evidence in court that the letter had been furnished to that house. So to just tell you, and at the other side of it, Ellen, I suppose, it's a €150 fine. We're working under the Litter Pollution Act 1997. So like €150 fine to somebody nowadays isn't a whole lot of money. And I think that the people out there are laughing at the enforcement officer when he goes with his on-the-spot fine. Only about half of all on-the-spot fines are being paid, even though it is only, as I said, €150, but only half of them are being paid. And if the local authority has to take that to the next step, that means that you have to go into court, you have to have a solicitor, and it's going to cost you multiples of the €150 that you're going to claim back.
Okay, so clearly, let's talk about the ways and means, the methods that could be used to deter people from dumping illegally. From the sounds of that, Pat, you don't think the fines are working as a real deterrent? Or are there any other enforcement measures aside from CCTV, which we'll get to in just a moment? Is there increasing fines? It sounds like wouldn't work. Is there any other enforcement methods that could be utilised to try and address this issue aside from CCTV?
Yeah, well, I think the first thing has to do that the Litter Pollution Act 97 has to be brought up to the modern day, up to 2026, and the fine of 150. I'd be putting that up to near to €1,000 or maybe €1,000. Any person that is fined at that stage, it might be worth your while to take them to the court. And another thing that should happen, if there is a court case and if there is a person found to be guilty, they should be on the front page of the Clare Champion, because it's the only way, name and shame, it's the only way that it will stop other people from doing it. If they think that there's a possibility that their neighbours and their friends could see their name on the front page of the paper or on your own channel on Clare FM or one of the news bulletins there someday.
So you think that really is the way to go? Because there'll be some people who feel that might be a bit extreme, but I mean, we're talking, this isn't, as I say, this isn't the first time I've spoken to you about illegal dumping at Gallows Hill or other locations.
Yeah, but what is extreme, Alan? Because Clare County Council are spending hundreds of thousands every year in going around collecting rubbish after people that don't seem to care. So what is extreme? I would say if you find somebody €1,000 and name and shame that person, I wouldn't call that extreme, but what I would call extreme is that a local authority has to be given hundreds of thousands every year to go around and clean up after people when you are providing the waste treatment, the facilities in Shannon, as I said, when you are having mattress amnesties, when you are collecting up the Christmas trees free of charge, when all these things are being put in place and people still will flaunt the law, I think there's nothing too extreme, to be honest about it.
Well, one method or one way that could deal with this issue is CCTV, which, as I mentioned, the local authority is committed to installing at dumping black spots by March. It is, anytime I've spoken about illegal dumping on the show, CCTV always comes up, and the desire to see it come in as soon as possible. And of course, there were roadblocks in the way, but they're out of the way. Do you believe, Pat, that CCTV will act as a real deterrent, or is more needed, like naming and shaming?
Well, under the Circular Economy 2022, that allows for the local authority to use cameras for waste and litter enforcement. So I would be hoping that this would be installed in March. We are calling for this, Alan, I suppose, since I got it back into the council 6 years ago. We're calling for it nearly on a monthly and a weekly basis. I have met with the guards when I was here up to the Shannon Municipal District discussing this. But I think that what we're actually talking about here this morning now in relation to CCTV is just for illegal black spots. Like if you look at it in the road in Limerick, they're after running with it now, and all the bottle banks that they have will say around Kilmallock, Croom, Bruff, on the Dock Road. There are CCTV cameras on all of them banks as we speak here this morning. And if a person comes to this bank, any of them banks, and they're full, whether it's with clothes or with bottles, they will go away again to the next one. They won't leave them there because there's a camera looking down the top of them. And we've had several incidences in all our bottle banks around County Clare where they will be full and the person will just leave the bottles beside them or the clothes beside the clothes bank. So I think that hopefully when March comes that they will roll it out. We're talking about just for litter now. We're not talking about the cameras that will be in the town park in Shannon or maybe above around Innes. I think that will be different legislation. But under the circular economy, it allows for the local authority to roll out these cameras in waste and litter black spots.
Pat, there'll be some, I'm sure, listening this morning who would say, well, look, you know, I would like to dispose of my waste in a responsible manner, but there aren't the appropriate services or recycling centres near enough to me that they may have limited access to waste disposal services, and this is contributing to illegal dumping. Should alternative solutions, such as improved waste facilities or collection options, be part of the response to this ongoing issue?
I don't know, Alan, to be honest about it, because as I say, I'm a councillor here representing Shannon Municipal District, and we have a recycling centre here in Shannon, but we still have rubbish being thrown around the town of Shannon and the outskirts out in Cratloe and 6 Mile Bridge. So would you think if we had an extra recycling centre out the road 3 or 4 miles, that would make much of a difference? I don't think so. I think that it's in a person's mindset whether they're going to throw it or not. A child won't throw a rubbish out the window of a car if they're taught properly, and another child might. But look at the ins and outs of it is, it has to be tackled. It has to be tackled properly, and I think that the CCTV cameras is a major step forward in alleviating the issue.
And speaking of images, I mean, as I mentioned earlier, you shared images of this latest incident on your Facebook page. How important is that aspect, the public awareness and community reporting from the likes of yourselves as local representatives and also from just members of the public in continuing to highlight this and how effective that is in tackling illegal dumping?
Yeah, well, on the evening in question that I put that up on my social media page, that was to alert people living in the area that if they're coming down the hill to be careful in case they drive into it, just to drive slowly in that area. I suppose as a local representative we get calls on a daily basis or a weekly basis in relation to illegal dumping and fly tipping, and in fairness we have an enforcement officer here in Shannon, and if he can go out on the spot in his van, and if it fits into the van he will bring it away. Like, we'll just say if there's 2 bags of household rubbish just thrown on the side of the road, he can go out in his van and bring that away straight away back to the recycling centre or whatever, the dump. And there's no issue really, but it's only really when there is big loads, like mattresses and household, maybe the contents of a house that's thrown out. That's where the major problem is, because you have to get the van in, you have to take the workers off what they're doing. And in some incidences, maybe if the mattress or the couch has gone down the side of maybe a ravine or into a trench, you have to employ a JCB and a JCB driver to come to get it back out. So like it's a major draw on the resources that we have in the Shannon Municipal District. And in every district, I presume, every municipal district is the same as our own. It's a major draw on the workers when you have to go out and spend maybe 2 trips to 6 Mile Bridge. You're talking about a couple of hours between loading and unloading and going back again. And as I said earlier on in the interview, them 3 or 4 workers are gone from filling the potholes and open gullies and whatever else they'll be doing on a daily basis.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. It is a waste of time, energy, personnel and resources. Just finally, Pat, what would you say to those responsible for dumping waste illegally, and also to residents who might witness it happening? What should they do?
Well, I suppose if anyone witnesses it, just to report it straight away, either to myself or to the Shannon Municipal District office here in Shannon. And we as a local authority will keep going. As I said, it's the 1997 Act we're working under. I'd be hoping that would be brought up to a closer time, up to 2025-26, and the fines should be increased. And as a local authority, we're going to keep going just to keep our areas clean, because nobody wants to be going out all these areas around the 12 o'clock hills and Gallows and all these. This is where people go on a Saturday, Sunday for a leisurely walk, maybe a picnic, a viewing area up around the hill, looking down over Shannon, Limerick, whatever. And there's nothing worse than driving up and seeing mattresses and all on the side of the road. So as a local authority, we will keep our shoulder to the wheel to try to keep the area as clean as possible.
And continued success in that regard. Hopefully the next time I'm speaking with you, we see a vast improvement on this issue. Pat, thanks very much for highlighting it and for chatting about it on the show this morning.
Okay, Alan, thank you.